Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
And so I was just wondering how to resolve the tension and what do you think might be best for me?
I don't worry about those kind of tensions.
So, I mean, there's the idea of being highly structured, organized,
Yeah, well, I understand. Well, I mean, Raymond's highly structured, and he is set up for $1 billion company. He's already got the infrastructure in place. His corporate training tells him to have the infrastructure in place before the revenue comes. My entrepreneurial training tells me we'll build the infrastructure when we get the revenue. And so I've never had, I have flat, I believe in flat management, you know. It shouldn't be more than 2 people before you're with the CEO.
I mean, like one's own daily schedule.
On the day, well,
versus the sundown rule.
Yeah, well, the sundown rule meaning that as Walmart, the guy that founded Walmart said, he cleans his desk of everything before he goes home. Well, my sundown rule, because I'm involved in companies around the globe, isn't sundown. My sundown rule is about 1 or 2 in the morning, because I'm still dealing with companies, you know, in America. But I do believe in the sundown rule. And I'm still involved in, as I told you, over 20 companies. But you, in the beginning, are going to have as flat organization structure as possible. You. That's it. And then the first acquisition you make, whatever they have, and you'll either keep or reduce the amount of companies. Most of the companies that you're going to acquire can do between 20 and 40% reduction in overhead staff. In addition to, remember, almost none of them are marketing. So you will be able to increase marketing revenues through marketing by about 25%, which will cost you about the same thing. So that's a net zero thing. The cost for increased revenue. But when you have just one deal, you're in there learning from the owner. The sooner you get rid of the owner, some people, like the Nazi Simon, don't want to keep the owners because they're a pain in the ass. They give out bad vibes to the employees. But the bottom line is, all these things are overstaffed. All of them. And when you have family businesses, it's 2 or 3 times worse. Except for the lady that buys donuts on Tuesday and Thursday, who's the head of HR. You're going to find anybody can cut expenses. Hardly anybody can increase revenue. You're going to find that if you don't already know it. Guys and gals that can produce revenue are golden. You can put up with their idiosyncrasies. You can put up with them coming late. You can, all kinds of shit. I'm still not at the stage of putting up with purple hair and rings in their fucking faces. But I mean, maybe if I was out in the field, I'd even put up with that. But you will find it extremely difficult to find people that can increase sales. And when you're looking to increase your sales forces, no real salesman worth their salt wants anything other than a commission. If they want a base salary, you better look at them again twice. No salesman worth his fucking salt wants anything other than a commission. Big commission, maybe 50% of the sales he brings in. But today, those people are like hen's teeth. They're rare to find anybody that'll work on 100% commission. But so you start there, just like you start with 100% seller finance, and your default is below that. You start with 100% commission only, and then and then you go from there. But you will be able to do away with, anything that's got over. By the way, you don't want to buy any companies less than 5 employees. 5 employees. And when you're buying dental offices, that's 1.5 dentists, 1.5 hygienists, 1 and a quarter receptionists, and then you're sweeping the floor. Okay. Those are the mom and pop. The first one to manage, run is easy, but you're going to be able to put 5, 6, 8, 10 together, not overnight, but almost overnight. And those are not easy to manage because there are no secrets in the corporate world. There are only mysteries. And what you tell one unit, meaning one of the operations, before noon, they will have talked to all the other managers. And so, but as Tony said, it's a pain in the ass. It is. It really is. And most of you really don't, even those that you've been out in business a while, you really don't have any real management experience. You really don't. Because you have mental constraints of what you've been able to do. You've had some regulatory constraints, which you think you can or can't do vis-a-vis firing people. You have, in some cases, family constraints. You really haven't had an open book to management. I told you, Tough-Minded Management and Tough-Minded Leadership by Joe Batten are the two best books. You never have to read another book. You never have to listen to another fucking podcast. And it's tough love, tough management. And he was Ross Perot's mentor back in the day. But you complicate, just like you overcomplicate the QLA model, you're going to overcomplicate management. You're going to do some things that you shouldn't do, and you're not going to do the things that you should do because you lack the experience. And that doesn't mean that the people, even though the Viking bitch said they know a thing or two if they've been around 30 years. I don't agree with that. They've got 1 year, 30 times. People in this room, you that are 20 years in business, you got 1 year, 20 times. If you knew how to do this, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here. And the last thing you're going to do, you're not going to fire. I fire everybody because I know I can either replace them or do it myself. So I'm not concerned about it. Plus, I don't really give a fuck if you will. And I'm not saying you throw a pregnant woman out there, a woman that's feeding on sucking on a thing. I'm not saying any of that. But even if you should do it. You should. Most people don't deserve a fucking job. And you perpetuating, making a self-fulfilling prophecy that these people keep jobs when they should be out of work. Nobody said that, this is not a welfare, well, some of the countries are welfare states. America and England are not welfare states with the guaranteed, a turkey at Thanksgiving and a Christmas tree with presents under it. That's not this model. And that's why, when I go in, I don't even have to think about it. I know there's fluff. I walked into a hospital in London 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there were 6 people behind the reception desk. 2 were answering phones, 4 were on their cell phone. I walked up to the 3rd floor to see what I was going to see. Only 2 of the 18 rooms were full of patients, and they had 2 reception desks. 4 and 6 people, same thing. And you can do that in manufacturing. All these businesses. But in the first acquisition, when you get your dick wet the first time, you're going to be dealing with 3 or 4 people. That's it. And don't make a mountain out of a fucking molehill. And if everybody doesn't like the changes you make, they were the right changes. That's God's truth. It's a shitty thing to say, but if everybody, it's like, I'm not there to be like, if you buy a fucking dog, get a dog you want to be like. That's not. And you're going to find out, unless that you make them part of the profit, where they get part of the money or some of the ownership, even the phantom method that Tony talked about, they're there just to pick up a fucking paycheck. And in the government contracts, you don't get paid for 45 days, and you've got enough money to pay them their first salary. Are they going to stick around the other 30 days? No. They're going to say, call me back when you can make payroll. Then what are you going to do? Yeah, exactly. Nothing. And that's my point. And you heard the Belgian Waffle say, the patients say, as long as you take care of my patient. And then he said, that's all horseshit. It's just money. How much money they're going to put in their fucking pocket. Maslow hierarchy of needs, which don't read. But when I came back to university after the military, he was hot. Okay? And actually, I'm coming from the military, which was hard. How could the military be at the other end of the continuum? Because at the other end of the continuum, still in the 60s, the military got shit done. They didn't have 4-year studies and shit like that. But Maslow hierarchy of needs says that money is third or fourth or fifth on the list of the things to have satisfied and fulfilled employees. After 53 years, and you listen to Rebecca, you listen to Belgium Waffle, and you listen to Jason Nag, the only thing that counts is fucking cash. And they would rather be paid cash than in their account. Also, rest is bullshit. Now, the kid he's a superstar. He's a great salesman, which you're not. He didn't have to take, although he did, the courses I tell you. But he did. But you're not smooth like he is. I mean, you're not even remotely in the same fucking universe. But you can get better. And the good news is the first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 acquisitions are going to be bumfuck, Arkansas, 4 people. But you don't have to be smooth. All you got to do is be persistent. Your ditch digging, hit him in the head with a shovel will come in handy. He looks around like I'm not talking to him. You're making, we show you this. And by the way, when he said 2 guys, he had 2 superstars in his class, which he was one of. And then they had 2 guys that did very, very well, not in the superstar status. But he came to the course wanting to break all the records, and he did. It's that old guy from Nottingham I told you about, who's flying around in his G6 or 5 with his bald son and his girlfriend to the Middle East, who's done 48 or 57 deals now. And he's having the time of his life. And he must be 70 by now, which is a young man to me. But you're making it more difficult than it doesn't have to be this difficult. Once you get beyond the one thing that you know that you don't want to do, you got to get beyond that. Otherwise, everything else is going to be slowed down. And the fact that you wait a year or 6 months, or you do a bunch of other things first, it's not going to get any easier, whatever that hard thing is. And I already know what it is for most of you. And it's not easy. But if it was easy, I'd have 500,000 people on the wall. And in the spirit of candor and brotherly love, which I'm being a hypocrite now when I say this, not everybody deserves or belongs in the column of having generational wealth. That's just it. God didn't make us that way, or whoever made us. Some of you are going to be mental ditch diggers no matter how much money you have. That's just it. And if I had something else to sell you, and by the way, in the back, I'm signing, with your credit card, you're going to... But that's not the case. Other questions about, yes, in the back.
When rolling up accounting firms.
Accounting firms.
Accounting firms. The industry experts on your board, should they also be accountants?
Not accountants, but they should be, numerate people that have dealt with accounting firms. They may not be accountants. They may be, perish the thought that I say this, but they may be on the human resource side, they may be on the marketing side, but they have to have accounting in the background. But that'd be a hell of all accountants. Well, fuck, that sounds like a boring deal. But it sounds like a Dutch deal, actually. And then you go down to the canals and you go into the places where the girls are, and you have some fun. Amsterdam is terrific. I mean, yes, sir.
So when we're looking for the motivated seller and we come across that company is owned by private equity, do we next?
No, I said, how long has the private equity firm been open? If they've been open 6.5, 7 years, yes, they may be a motivated seller. If they're open, they're trying to flip it in 2 or 3 years, no. Let's forget about it. You should stay as far away as you can from private equity because they're going to take it. If you have any gold in your teeth, they're going to take it. They're going to take it. I mean, now the current batch of guys aren't like the KKR guys that came out of Bear Stearns with me. Now those guys, they truly didn't take any prisoners. The current guys are pretty tough, but they're not taking gold teeth out of babies like in the good old days. Yes, sir.
CEO and CFO at the beginning, we bring them with equity and then salary along the way when we're getting big.
I told you, nobody gets any salaries until you cash flow. And that's normally between the third and fifth deal. And the only people that are going to get paid anything are the CEO and the CFO first, not you. Not fucking you. There's 7 of you getting in a fucking cab tonight or tomorrow morning. Not you. And then when you cash flow salaries, commensurate with the charts. 2 or 3 guys have, in recent years have taken out a lot of money when they do the refinance after 10 or 12 or 14. You heard Gabriel said, well, with his jet plane, his wife likes the petite, the this and that, and all these cost money that I assume he's taken out from bonuses and not having the company pay for it. I don't know that. I don't want to know that. Okay. And everybody's got a fucking house on a lake. I mean, which I find extremely amusing to me. Even him. It's just I don't know what movie. It wasn't The Sound of Music. I don't know what movie it was that everybody moves on a fucking lake. But it certainly is, I guess, kind of habitual or habit forming. Yes, at the back.
If you're doing a joint venture partnership deal and you won't have any overhead, are you just distributing the profit from that deal to the board?
Depends how it's structured. All these are details you don't need to know about. Just another question you don't need to know the answer. And if you think enough about it, you wind up doing it. You're not going to call anybody. Back in the 90s, we used to make you sign on the UK and the US government website. We don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore. Who's my 5:30? 6. And that's it for today, okay? I know some of you, and they've got whiskey tasting, and you've already been given all of those, right? Okay. And for those of you that can't get on the kilt and put the pleats in the right way, and then we meet in the drawing room in the castle for drinks and the ceremony, and then we have dinner in the castle tonight, and we have a little bit of entertainment, and then after that we have my talk, or answer questions for an hour or so. And then I go to bed and you stay up. And then some of you will be leaving early in the morning and the rest of you will be leaving tomorrow, the daytime. And I see a bunch of you tomorrow starting at 11 for your one-on-ones for the last of you that I haven't talked to yet. You've seen the kid. And I'm not going to preach to you, you ought to just follow with blind faith. But almost all of these kids, whether they were in jail, and some of you, I understand, you don't hurt my feelings. You can't do that. I understand. No harm, no foul. That's fine. It doesn't bother me. But for those of you that can, you have the opportunity to make a lot of money. Yeah.
Forgive me. Regarding government contracting, I got confused somewhere along the way in terms of the paths to that. What I understand is that one way is like you did do a JV with the actual.
It's not a J. God damn it! Quit calling it that.
A partnership.
Yeah, go ahead.
And
You
so-
use those words, I mean, believe me, words are important. It's like you don't say contingent under any set of circumstances. Some of the banks are going to try to trick fuck you. Some of the accounting firms are going to try to trick fuck you. Some of the lawyers, oh, this is contingent. And then you're going to say yes, and it's dead. They're going to write that in your fucking file. Black, yellow, purple, moron. That's why you have the fucking scripts. Use them. Don't add any fucking words. I mean, it's a miracle I've been able to do this 31 years. But I like yelling. I like confrontation. If I was a mealy-mouthed cunt like you, I would have quit 28 years ago. But I like it. And I like seeing the kids. I mean, when I see the black guy, fuck. It makes me, I don't believe in, it gives me, hope springs eternal, that they can do that. But then I turn around and look at the audience and I can see that like your cat just died because you don't believe it. Or more importantly, you can't do it. That's the dead-eye look that you've got in your fucking eyes. It's the only reason I wish that the iron lung guy was still alive. To have him here, pushing his lungs like this. But he's gone to his maker. How can you not believe? Because you've got no self-esteem and your parents didn't teach you anything. But maybe go buy your way into Penn like you did. I'm jealous. I wish I had gone to one of those schools. Okay, I'll see you at 5:30 and the 6 at 6. We'll see you tonight, guys.